Hi, I'm Keith Banfield. Back in 2000, before the days of high-definition TV and video, I interviewed a number of successful people which I'd like to share with you now. The first is Richard Wilkins. Now, Richard went from being a millionaire in a mansion to a bankrupt in a bedsit. He lost everything overnight, and a very, very powerful interview, which is why I wanted to share it with you. So let's go over to that interview now.
If you lived in a 35-room mansion like this, owned 2 Ferraris, and were a millionaire, would you be happy? What about then if you had all that, but then you lost the lot? You were bankrupt, living in a bedsit, right there at rock bottom. How would you feel then? With me now is the man that's been there. He's done that. He's one of the most inspirational people I've ever met, Richard Wilkins. Richard, great to meet you.
Hi, Keith.
So you've been there, you've had this massive mansion in its own grounds. A lot of people would see that as success. How did it feel when you had that?
Yeah, I'm sure you're right. A lot of people did see it as success. They must have said at the time, well, Richard Wilkins, yeah, he's got everything. But in truth, it wasn't everything. You said an interesting word a while ago, there. You know, a lot of people want to get there. I think everyone wants to get there. Whatever there is for different people. But, you know, I never once felt that I was really there. It was always on to the next deal. Yeah, it was great to own a Ferrari with a lot of men. You know, we're into the toys and stuff. To own a Ferrari, you think, you know, that would be it. You reach a certain level, but it isn't, is it? It's like when we get a bigger house, then we move. Our lifestyle expands, and we move on to a still bigger house. And you know, you look at the pop stars, a lot of wealthy people that are around, they're always moving on from one thing to another. And if it isn't the money, if they get so much money, then it's into politics and into power. So just the same as them, I never really did find that. I was always on to the next deal, always on to the next deal. So a lot of head stuff, a lot of buzz. There was a buzz with it. Rather than how did it feel, you know, it was the buzz. It was a big adrenaline thing.
So how did it feel then when the whole thing collapsed and you reached, as you say, rock bottom?
Terrifying, absolutely terrifying. I mean, it says on the back of my books that I went from being a millionaire in a mansion to a bankrupt in a bedsit virtually overnight. That was true. It was the recession. My company was at peak borrowing. I was wiped out. Overnight, I lost my family because I went through a divorce just before. So I lost my family through divorce. I lost my home, my business, my money, and the worst thing that I lost was my self-worth. So yeah, how did it feel? Terrible. I hit rock bottom, literally hit rock bottom. What's rock bottom? Rock bottom is when the light at the end of the tunnel goes out. There is no light at the end of the tunnel. And yeah, the worst thing that I lost was my self-worth. A terrible, terrible time.
Now you've got that light at the end of the tunnel back. You've come back with big time. You've written books. And I know you've got lots of publishing deals on the go. What brought you back? What relit that light at the end of the tunnel?
I think it's right what you said. What relit that light at the end of the tunnel? Nothing actually relit the light at the end of the tunnel. What happened was I decided and was actually forced into a situation where I had to use my own light rather than this external light that had always been going on. For example, all my success was based on money. The whole thing, everything was based on the money thing. When the money went, the whole thing collapsed. Now here I was in a situation where it was the opportunity, the chance to let my own light shine. And I started scribbling down my thoughts and feelings on pieces of paper, and people said, hey, you want to put these into a book? These are really good. You know, I'd never written anything before, Keith. Anything before this at all. And all these little sayings and these one-liners. And I decided to do my first book, sent all the manuscripts out to every publisher of inspirational self-help books in the country, and every single one said no. So I thought, well, that's it. And then I decided, well, what about borrowing the money and self-publishing the books myself? We did this, and shortly after this, I was approached by Random House, the biggest publisher in the world, I think they are now, who said, "Yeah, we'll do your books." And I resisted the temptation. It was very good for the ego. All of a sudden, you've got the biggest publisher in the world that wants to print your books. And we said, no. Well, let's stay with what we're doing. Let's stay in the driving seat here. and they've become a phenomenal success. I would say they're probably the most successful self-publishing books in the country now. If you sell 1,000 books self-publishing, you're doing pretty good. That's sort of bestseller territory. We've sold over 50,000 just in the UK, and now we've been approached with our latest book by Thomas Nelson, who are the biggest publishers of inspirational books in the world. So yeah, it looks like now I'm set to do the money thing again.
And what lessons have you learnt from the first time round that you can now apply to the second time round, so that you don't make the same mistakes?
This is the juicy bit. I mean, how long have you got? I wish we'd got a day here to explain it. You know, what have I learned? So many things. You know, that earning a living isn't getting a life. That really, you know, the journey is the destination. That there isn't where you think. It's how you think. It's. Don't take my word for it. You know, look at the people that have won the lottery. Look at the people that are at the top in business. These people haven't achieved what I've achieved in my life now, which is contentment. And I use the word contentment rather than happiness. My contentment isn't based on me being happy all the time. Will it be different this time round? You're not kidding. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to do the same things that I did before. It's like now, I used to worry a lot about my Ferraris getting damaged. I don't worry about my Ferraris getting damaged because I haven't got any Ferraris.
Yes. And I know you talk a lot about feelings, and you had those Ferraris. What did that do for you? What does it do for anyone? It's all about feelings. And can you explain how people need to be thinking perhaps about the feelings rather than just the...
Yeah. I mean, we were talking about this a while ago. Yeah, the thing that I've discovered that is so big for me. I had a meeting in London recently with a top businessman, and we were talking about success. And he said, yeah, well, who can quantify success? I said, I'll have a go at it. And he said, fine, the floor's yours. And I said, well, the bottom line to everything we do in life surely is the fact that we want a feeling from it. You buy a Ferrari. Why do you buy a Ferrari? Because you want to get a specific feeling. And this is the thing that we really want in life. We want the feelings. It's the feelings that we desire.